Legend of War here, and today we've got a Anti-Elgi Doomstack video playing as Grombrindle with a Iron Drake Trollhammer Torpedo Doomstack. Well, mostly. We've also got 3 Iron Drake Grudge Settler units for a bit of extra anti-infantry there. And we've got 5 Thanes, an Engineer, and of course Grombrindle. We're going up against the High Elves. Avalon is bringing almost 3 full stacks here with quite a few high tier units. Quite dangerous. The auto resolve gives us a pretty good result, and if we have a look here, we can see everything's on maximum difficulty. Don't have battle realism on. That doesn't matter for this sort of situation. But auto resolve here, I mean, that's not a great result. We still get a win, but losing all of our units there is not amazing. We've also got Ensorcelled Blades, so he's gone through a sea encounter. That's not essential for this army here, since we're not really primarily using it in melee attack or melee defense, but it definitely does help in auto resolve. So let's jump into this battle here and just see how they actually perform on the battlefield. So when using a missile unit type Doomstack, there are always several concerns that need to be addressed in order to qualify, in order to get it to like a 10 out of 10. Very few missile unit based Doomstacks will hit 10 out of 10 because they are vulnerable to certain situations. The 10 out of 10 rating is reserved for armies that basically cannot be beaten by the AI. You ambush them, doesn't matter, they win. Sieges, doesn't matter, they win. 4 full stacks, doesn't matter, they win. These are usually single entity units that can regenerate. Now that's not to say that missile unit Doomstacks aren't also amazing, because usually you can get them a lot earlier. Like the highest tier unit here is Iron Drake, Trollhammer Torpedo, at tier 3. So you can get this very early on. And sometimes an earlier game Doomstack is better than one that takes you 200 turns to build. Alright, so what we need to be aware of as well is terrain. You know, we can't just fight anywhere. We've got to make sure that our line of sight is clear and there's no obstructions. So, coming up through this way here seems to be ideal. What I'm going to do is get into just something of a minor checkerboard formation. This is just in case they rush at us. So if one unit gets pinned down, these guys here can all turn around and shoot at it with minimum friendly fire. But if you just go in a single line and they get attacked by something, a lot of units could get pinned down. So checkerboard formation is particularly good. The downside to checkerboard formation is largely that they are quite vulnerable to like bombardment artillery. They do have artillery, but the AI tends to use single shot a fair bit. Okay, this guy here will stick with them, and let's get going. So I want to get over to here. I'm not trying to corner camp, it's just that this is the best terrain here. Reasonably high ground. Don't want to get over too far this way just because those forests will provide too much cover for the enemy. But we want to be shooting downhill wherever possible. Now, as for the Thanes, you want to keep them a fair distance away from the missile units. If you keep them too close, the enemy will just ignore them and they won't do their job of pinning them down. Now, the Thanes have basically 2 purposes in this army here. For one, providing line holding the enemy back so these guys can shoot. They're nice and small. It's actually good to be short in this situation, so you don't shoot your own troops. And the other thing is that they actually provide a huge boost to Iron Drakes, which stack. They provide 50% extra ammunition to each one. So that's why we've got so much ammunition on each of these Iron Drakes. So keep these guys here. That's it. Start moving in. They've all got Iron Warden tankards. So the enemy have the range superiority already because of the artillery there, but we just got to close the distance. They're not doing that much damage to us. They are using single shot, which I think is the right call because the multi-shot... Actually, I don't know. Maybe it's not the right shot. They're not doing that much damage because we've got a fair bit of missile resistance. Yeah, that's it. Get in. Make sure we spread out a little bit. But by going into melee here, it clumps them up. It's going to make it a lot better for us to start shooting. I'm going to get in a little bit closer, especially for the regular Iron Drakes. Well, the Grudge Settlers. Because their flaming attack, a bit more spread out. We've also got the army ability here, but I'm not going to use it because this is a Doomstack rating. Even though that's actually this guy's ability, so maybe I should use it. Let's see how we go. Alright. Now, I think this is a really good test for this army because every single one of our units do flaming attacks, and oh my god, we do so much damage that it doesn't even matter that it's flaming attacks. Take it. They didn't even get a chance to utilize their regen because they couldn't trigger it fast enough. So High Elves are notorious for having a lot of flame resistance, but also they've got flaming attacks with Sisters of Avalon, and we also have fire resistance, so that's very useful. So looking good here. Small amount of damage, no casualties. Okay, we've also got this ability here that we can use to try and speed up how much damage we're doing. Extra reload time. Although there is an animation cap to how fast these guys can actually shoot, so sometimes this stuff doesn't even work. Much better to use that when they're at low rank, but because rank increases their reload time, you get to a point sometimes where it actually isn't doing anything anymore. Alright, we've actually taken our first casualty here, probably due to the artillery. But yeah, these guys here, you can see that the enemy's not completely clumping around them, but it definitely acts as a roadblock for us. Alright, I should probably put them in guard mode as well. And this guy here is able to slow them down a little bit with the flash bomb. Pretty useful. Gotta move in quick though. Alright, this one hasn't taken any casualties, but it has taken a fair bit of damage. Oh yeah, that's really good. And even if they do connect there, at 65 melee defense, they're not going to do that much damage, especially considering they don't do much armor piercing. So move that one to the back. That way we preserve the unit for subsequent battles. Clumpings over here. But so far, this is doing amazingly well. Enemy do still have a fair bit of reinforcements coming in. Based on what I'm seeing here with the balance of power, I'd say that if all of their units were able to show up at the beginning of the battle, which they weren't because they've got more than 2 full stacks, the balance of power probably would have been slightly in their favor. But yeah, this is looking amazingly well. Amazingly good. God damn. Minimal damage done to us. Move back a bit. Looks like they used a spell to kill one of my Iron Drakes. And all our Thanes are holding them back. Because yeah, at 187 range, we slightly outrange a Sisters of Avalon and their regular archers, but that just makes it sort of like a relatively fair engagement in terms of just the range. But our damage output is way higher than theirs. So far it looks like we've taken 2 casualties in total. Okay, these guys here can probably justify moving up a little bit more. Okay, that one's facing the wrong way. Already army lost them. Cool. 3 fucking stacks killed in 6 minutes. God damn. Yes, this is pretty good. 2 casualties. This is pretty damn good. These guys weren't even firing most of the time, and they got... The thing is, when they did fire, it was in that big clump of infantry at the very beginning, so they wiped them out, and then there was mostly just a scramble to stay in loose formation, I guess. Everyone got at least 100 kills. This guy was probably in the back, so he just wasn't in range most of the time. The Thanes, they don't dish out much damage, but they also didn't take much damage. And they dish out their damage through ammunition. Now here's the thing, most missile-based Doomstacks in the game, such as Sisters of Avalon Doomstack, right? Which is a Doomstack that has been very popular in the past. It can't handle, like, unlimited waves of enemies, just because it dishes out shitloads of damage, but they run out of ammunition quickly. But when you've got this much ammo, this is the kind of army that can take on wave after wave of enemy. Because you've also got the restock option here, which the High Elves don't have access to. Now the thing is with restock is that it actually restores a percentage of your total amount of ammunition. So the more ammunition you've got, the more you can restore. So it becomes more valuable the more ammo they've got. So that's super good. Yeah, might as well get full strength back there. And then, of course, you've got the Iron Warden tankers to make sure all of these guys here can just regenerate. So they can fight battle after battle and walk out basically unscathed. So, looking at what's needed in order to build this army, basically. Obviously, you need a fair bit of Oath Gold in order to generate the... Actually, that's a lot of Oath Gold for this turn in the game. This guy's done really well. So I'm trying to get my bearings here. Okay, so to get 5 Thanes, you need to build this building here 4 times. Because you start off with 1 capacity for all your heroes. So to increase it by an additional 4, you need 4 of these mustering halls. They are recruited at tier 2, but to increase capacity, you need to get to tier 3. So that can just be done in minor settlements. Not a difficult thing to do. Then there is the missile unit, which is recruited from the gun building. Let me just try to find that. It's not my camp. There it is. So you only need 1 of these buildings. And that's where you get the Trollhammer torpedoes from. And they only take 1 turn to recruit. These ones here, looking at the difference, they have significantly less range than the Grudge Settler ones, which is obviously why he's gone with the Grudge Settlers. Now, these ones here have burnt for reduced leadership. But the other ones, they've got a different effect on it as well.
I'm here.
Or, it's not as well, it's just instead of. Flammable. So these ones dish out more damage and they've got longer range, which means that they'll have more opportunity for shooting. Now, Thanes, like I said, they've got the Ironbeard skill, which gives them ammunition plus 50% for Iron Drakes. So that means 50, 100, 150, 200, 250%. And then Grombrindle is able to provide 33% extra ammunition. So that's like bloody 300% extra ammo. Extra melee defense and missile strength. And that's not including this over here, which that's just missile strength and reload time reduction. This is what I'm talking about the reload time reduction. There's already a lot of things happening, so that's why the reload skill from the engineer probably isn't coming into play that much. Extra missile resistance, reload time reduction, missile strength for them as well. So loads of things that you can do to boost them, and that's not even talking about the tech tree as well, which they get their tech probably through here, is that right? So reload time reduction. There's the extra 10% ammunition and extra range that they get there. Cool. So, rating this Doomstack. It is still somewhat situational dependent. It's just that it's as good in, I would say, like 95% of situations. Sieges shouldn't be too difficult. They're not horrible in melee. You just have to, like, break through the gate. Honestly, most sieges you can win just with the heroes anyway. Break through the gate and just have these guys here pound through whatever's on the other side of the gate. Getting ambushed would suck for this. That's really the main thing that this one would be weak against. But dwarfs are okay at handling ambushes now because in their tech tree, they've got this technology here, which he hasn't researched yet, but he's not going up against Skaven, so it's fine. Ambush defense chance plus 20%. And of course, they've got various stances that'll help them with ambushes. Still, that being said, going up against someone like Snigich, who's got like 100% ambush success chance, if he was to ambush this, even with a bunch of trash, he could pin you down and cause a hell of a lot of damage. So that is like the one situation that this would be really vulnerable. That, and if the enemy overwhelmed you with like just tons and tons of fast units that are like fairly missile resistant, or their animations make it difficult to hit. Although the Phoenixes are particularly good in that regard, and these ones here shot them down like it was nothing. So I would say basically 95 to 99% of all situations this would handle. Now, if it doesn't handle every single situation really well, then it can't get a 10 out of 10. So 10 out of 10s are really reserved for like single entities regenerating Doomstacks that if they get ambushed, it doesn't matter. 4 full stacks, it doesn't matter. Sieges, it doesn't matter. There's no situation that they can fail. That's what 10 out of 10 is reserved for. And then as we get further down, basically the cutoff point for like, is it really a Doomstack would be a 7 out of 10. At that point, I don't consider it a Doomstack anymore. And if it drops below a 5, I actually consider it to be a fucking crap army in general. So basically, if I ever score your army like 3 or 4 out of 10, that means I don't even think it's a good army to recruit in the first place, let alone being a Doomstack. A Doomstack is being something that is providing a shitload of value to your faction. Typically speaking, most people send in Doomstacks that are at least above a 7. Okay, so rating this one, pretty much 9.5 out of 10. Super easy to use, super convenient to recruit, super powerful. You just got to watch out for ambushes. It's literally the only thing you got to watch out for. And sieges might be a little bit of a pain, but definitely doable. overall, very happy with how this Doomstack turned out, so I appreciate this guy sending it in. We've definitely covered Iron Drake Doomstacks before, but I actually think this might be the best one I've ever seen. So it's just, everything has just been done right, and it's also been made possible thanks to patch 4.0, because previously these guys, they did more damage, but they had less range, and I think the range is what made them a more viable Doomstack, because when you don't have enough range, you get in really close, you can get shot a fair bit. It also incentivizes the enemy to really charge at you, so that extra range is very useful. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned something. Appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.